I absolutely hate grocery shopping, and that's the lemon. What is up, everyone? This is Evan with the Lemons with Clemens. Today's lemon, of course, is grocery shopping. This is something that we all do. Well, some of us, unless you're incredibly rich, you don't have to do that. But it's something that I've despised since I was a kid. And your mom or your dad drags you out to the grocery store, the Walmart or Hy-Vee or Costco, wherever you might shop at, and you just hate it because it has no interest to you when you're a kid, So you're going through all these aisles, and then you get excited for the few things you might get to pick, which comes down to maybe a couple snacks and which cereal you want. Otherwise, hopefully, the parent went on their own without you because it was the worst thing ever to have to go with them. And that's followed me, not only with grocery shopping, but like clothes shopping or anything else, because my mom dragged me to all of it. And so I just avoid it at all costs now. But that's followed me my entire life. And now I put off grocery shopping. I will literally dwindle down all my supplies to where it's canned foods or something left over. I will go as long as I can without having to go. And now, thankfully, they were getting all these updates after COVID came out where you can do the online ordering. Some places will deliver it to you. Unfortunately, I'm not in a spot yet that does delivery, and I don't want to pay a third party app to do that because then it's even more expensive to get your own groceries because grocery shopping is already incredibly expensive. And this is one thing that this is gonna be my first point is that I absolutely hate having to bulk buy everything all at once. So if you don't plan out your meals for the week or the 2 weeks, however long you're buying for, you're buying all kinds of bullshit, really, because you don't know what you're gonna do, and you're just gonna maybe you'll throw stuff together. Maybe you'll do a lot of snacks, and so I think you do a lot better job if you plan out every meal. And the people that do that, I'm sure, are a lot more efficient than me at grocery shopping. I can't do that. I can't plan that out in advance. My mind doesn't work like that. Um, and so getting the ingredients I need. So then I'm going back to the store if I'm not doing that because there's gonna be one or two things because I'm in the mood to make something in particular, and I don't have the one item I need for it. It's a pain because it's a lot easier and more convenient to just get something small and go. That's why fast food restaurants and restaurants in general have succeeded so well because it's way easier, it's way more convenient, and spending a lot of money at one time is something nobody likes to do. I'd rather spend. So, whenever it comes down to going to the store, the prices have already gone up tremendously. All right, it's insane. My cart will be full of the same stuff, but I'm spending 30 to 40% more, I think, on those items. And is it just me? But do all the boxes and the bags of the stuff that you used to get, whether it be like your chips or your cereal or your boxes of granola or anything like that, I feel like they get smaller and the prices either stay the same or get bigger. And that is absolutely ridiculous. I think that should be considered illegal. I think that's a scam. I know for a fact chip sizes have gone down when you get your bags, and then they're already full of 60% air. So that's a bunch of bullshit. All right. So going and spending a lot of money, and on your way to getting, you're spending all this money, and you're kind of doing this like very basic math and just kind of rounding up. So you're saying, let's say you have $60 to $80 in your cart. On your pathway of knowing what you have, they specifically set up the aisles that have grab items, and I fall for it every time. I'm so easy to get manipulated into buying something I never wanted in the first place. It just looks so good. Or they'll have the deals where it's like, oh, chips. It's my biggest vice. I have to have chips all the time. I'll eat a whole damn bag of chips at one time. It's just what I need. And so they have the deals like two for $6 or two for five or something like that. And you think you're getting a good deal. You might actually only be getting 20 or 30% or 30 cents off. But it grabs me. It wins. It works every time. If I think I'm probably the worst when it comes to peer pressure. You say, go ahead and try this. I'm going to do it, apparently. So the worst thing is you're buying all these things, and on your way to check out, you're picking out all these other items, or maybe, oh, you know what? A Kit Kat sounds good on the way home, or you know what? Maybe I want an energy drink. I'm tired from all this shopping. I know I'm gonna have to put it all up. And so they have all the little things that you can grab that you keep out of your bag. All right. Then you go through the process of checking out, and now all these grocery stores are moving to do self checkout instead. So do you decide to go through the self checkout and do it all yourself? But it takes more time. You might mess up. And the worst thing about the self checkout is I have had this problem multiple times, probably because I am awful and I should not work at a grocery store, but I will accidentally ring the same item twice, and then I have to hit the button or whatever so somebody comes over and fixes my problem, which makes everything take even longer. And it's a whole thing. And at the same time, I'm so worried about, is everybody judging me for my 6 bags of chips? I don't buy soda or anything like that. So I'm not lifting all these big packs of soda or water out. But are they judging me? And then I'm bagging up my own groceries, and it's a whole thing. I'm already spending my time. Why am I doing, the hard part of the grocery shopping too? Or do you go to the checkout where someone does it, where you have to stand there as they judge every item that they scan, and then look at you, and then make the awkward, that awkward small conversation, nice weather we're having. They don't want to talk to you, and I don't want to talk to them. And it's either some punk kid that doesn't want to be there, and it's very obvious, or it's the oldest person on earth. And you can't win. All right, so they're either going slow, or you think that they're about to praise the devil right in front of you. And so I don't think there's any in between. I don't think I've ever been to a place and there's literally somebody in the middle of that. And if they were in the middle, it was probably the manager. That person probably got promoted because they did a great job of not sucking. And there's nothing more irritating though. So when you go to the grocery store and your route, all right, the dairy's in the back. They put it back there because you have to pass everything, first of all. If you didn't know that, that's why it's all the way back there. Because people need dairy every time they go to the store because the shelf life on dairy is so small. So you have to go all the way to the back and work your way for it. So you're passing all the stuff like, ooh, that sounds good. Which again, like I said, gets me every time, whether it be the shelf displays on the side or whatever. Well, there is nothing more infuriating than when they rearrange a grocery store. I'm in there way longer than I already want to be. It's all over the place. So then you're trying to figure out where, maybe your taco seasoning is or whatever it is. There is nothing worse than when you have your route planned, you're trying to be as efficient and as quick as possible to get out of there, and nothing is where it's supposed to be. It drives me insane. I don't want to be there. I don't want to walk down the aisles. And the worst part is, so when you get out of your car to go to a grocery store, I don't know. Now, see if you notice this. And I don't know if I'm the only one. I might be crazy. I call this a shopping buddy. You have the person, you walk in around the same time, and maybe you don't, but you end up at one part of the store at the same time, usually in the back. Then for the rest of your entire shopping experience, you are with that person in the same aisle. You turn down the aisle and they're there, or you're on the aisle and they turn in it. And at some point, you have to acknowledge each other. Has anybody? It can't be just me, because it's almost terrifying. And I call it a shopping buddy because it's this nonverbal agreement that we're in this together. We're doing it, pal. And you might lock eyes, you might look at each other, and sometimes you do a little nod. At least that's what I do, and then they look away quickly, which is, well, maybe it's just me after all. Now that I think about it, it doesn't matter. But I feel like that there's somebody there with you, and it's the same person, and maybe they skip an aisle and you go down one, and you're like, sweet, I lost them. Time to move on. And then 2 hours later, there they are again, and here we are. And so I've even gone with my son, and he's even asked, is that person following us? And it's the most awkward situation if your kid asks that. You're both getting the same milk or eggs, and then you're getting toilet paper together. You learn a little bit about each other without realizing it. And then the worst part is when you're trying to get around the same area, it's like, oh, pardon me, excuse me, just Just trying to grab that. You're standing, or when they stand right in the way. Are you kidding me? Get your cart out of the way first of all, and then move out of my way so I can get my shit and go. All right. So there's there's your shopping buddy. It's a fun experience because you end up also checking out near the same time too. And so I don't know. There should be a game out of it where you learn the most about your shopping buddy as quick as you can. By the time you leave that grocery store, you guys should have best friends and exchange numbers, and then you plan every trip together because obviously you're already on the same track. But whenever you don't have your shopping buddy, because that's a person also, you should ask whenever they move the store around. Like, do you know where that is? No, I've been looking for that too, Jimbo. I don't know why they would call me Jimbo, but that's kind of where my head went. But the craziest thing, though, is I won't ask for help. As much as I get frustrated if they rearrange things or if I'm following the same person or what have you, I won't ask anybody, but I will just angrily walk down every aisle looking. I'll miss that item, go back to the aisle because I know it's got to be here. You know, maybe it's a special like ranch or a salsa or something. You know it's going to be with all the other shit. You don't see it the first time, so you go somewhere else. It's not there, so you have to go back. It's the worst. But I refuse. I won't do it. I won't ask for help unless I'm there. Maybe I have a cutoff time, like at 20 minutes. All right, what the fuck? Where is this shit? You know, and so the other thing is, and I know I'm not the only person that does this. There's no way. So when I'm there and I'm getting all my snacks and stuff, you know, I kind of put them towards the bottom of the cart. And I purposely cover my cart with all kinds of, I will go out of my way and buy something healthy as if I'm going to eat that. Be like, oh yes, this non-fat, plain, no flavored, no fruit yogurt is definitely what I'm going to be eating this week. This kale salad. Let's put that over my Oreos. And then nobody will judge what the hell is in my cart, because you don't want to be the person that is going down with the cart and your entire cart is just full of chips and cookies and snacks and Lunchables. Don't judge me. All right. You know, it's so obvious the type of person you are by what's in your cart. You could probably judge a person completely and figure out exactly how they tick by what is in their cart. And so there's something funny about it because I do it every time. I cover it, or I'll get my paper products and stuff, and my cart will look so overfilled because of the way I stack it. And it won't be that much stuff. It's just that I'm trying to cover everything up so nobody judges me. But then again, you get to the checkout time, and do you sit there and let the other person judge everything, or do you do the self-checkout and let that be a whole ordeal? You know, and so the other part about grocery shopping, you know, they have all these prices that are rising and stuff. What about organic food? I think if you're going to most grocery stores, just because it says organic, it doesn't necessarily mean organic. I think they just put that on there just so they can raise the prices. I think, honestly, it's bullshit. Or like you go and you see Smart Chicken. That chicken wasn't smart. It's not smart. What the fuck is different? I think all they do is clean the chicken a little bit better. But it's like $2 more for a pound of it, or however, whatever it is. It makes no sense to me. So organic food, you're going in, it's such a niche thing now where they can jump up on all their pricing because it's something that people are like, oh, that must be healthy if it's organic. It's not healthy just because it says organic. I'm still going to eat 10 bags of your organic sunflower chips or whatever the hell it might be, all right? And I'm going to eat the shit out of them. I'm still going to get fat from them. Then being organic doesn't mean that it's healthy. So I'm in this weird thing where I'm almost looking for things that aren't organic. I don't want to be lied to. Just be straight. This sucks for you. This is okay for you, all right? I don't think most of the stuff, unless you're getting the fresh produce, is going to actually be good for you, at least there. And if you want that organic food, go to the damn farmer's market and you'll get organic food. But if you're going to a Walmart, don't look for all the stuff that says organic and try to get that. All they're doing is trying to take your money. And if it is quote unquote organic food, it's made around other shit that's not organic. So you're not helping anything. You're not saving the planet by doing that. It's maybe it's because it doesn't have GMOs or a bunch of bullshit, but I guarantee there's something in there that'll still mess you up. But the fact that stuff that is quote unquote organic and natural is more expensive just blows my mind. It makes no sense to me. They need to do something about that. You go down the aisles of the supplements. Every store has that. Like, you have all the supplements with all the vitamins, all the then they have the whole spot where it's like diet food, and where you do like Atkins diet, and right next to the Atkins diet bullshit is the some kind of smoothie, which is next to some pills that make you turn hot and sweat your ass off. And then an aisle over is where you're going to get your condoms. So if you get all that could be all somebody needs right there. If you go to the supplement aisles, you might not need to go grocery shopping. You go get your diet food, your pills, so you aren't hungry. Then you go get your condoms, and you go make a day out of it. All right, that's your next challenge, everybody. That's a game you need to make. So I'm big on trying to be as efficient when I go in to a grocery store. And I've learned now, I've done a couple of the things where you do the pick up your food, you do it online, and you go and park and they put it in your trunk, which is also an entire different experience of just awkwardness. Now, that's one thing. COVID really helped make this, which is really, it's awesome. In all honesty, it's super awesome. It's exciting that we're at this point. Again, a lot of the stuff is, we're here. We're at the future now. We can be as lazy as possible, and people just cater to us because that's their job. So I go to a grocery store after putting my order in. They have it all picked out for me. And it's so weird. Like, now that I've been doing this pickup stuff, and it's not just with groceries. If you go to your Target or your Best Buy and sit out there, it's such a weird dynamic. Because I think it's so new. I don't think people know what to do yet because we're not used to it. This is all brand new to us, and it's brand new to me. So you sit there and, it'll tell you on your app. I know at the Target one, it's like, don't roll down your window, just show them your code. But I've had people actually knock on the window and be like, hey, what's your code? It's like, what? But the instructions said, don't fucking talk to me, And so it's this whole thing where you don't know if you roll down your window, do you talk to them? The whole reason I'm doing this, I try my best. In all honesty, I will sit there and not roll down the window if possible. If I do, I'll crack it and be like, hey, yep, that's me. But as they're walking up, and I know, because they're asking what my name is, that's the most contact I want with you. Which order is this? Me? Okay, they're walking up with my stuff. I pop the trunk and roll up the window, and I just hope for the best. Yeah, at that point, I had one guy he was talking to me, and it was the weirdest thing because I think I was moving and stuff, and my high school diploma ended up falling out of a box into my trunk. And all of a sudden, I hear him yelling something. I was like, shit, was he talking to me? I'm going to go, what? Fuck. And so I roll down my window. At this point, I'm like, fuck. I don't want to talk to this guy. Now it's awkward. It's like, shit. I'm worried, like, is the body still back there? Did I not remove it? Or is there still a blood stain? And it's, hey, yeah, you went to school over in blah, blah, blah? Yeah, I did football camp there. Oh, cool, bud. Glad. Don't talk to me. And so then it's an awkward chat, and I don't want to talk to you. It's the same thing as whenever you're with the checkout person. I'm not good with that I'm not good with it. The small talk is so, we're only doing this to avoid an awkward silence of you just doing your job and me letting it happen. It is, and I think it's just a natural thing that people do, where that uncomfortable silence, that people have to fill that silence, and they need to have some kind of noise. So maybe what I'll do next time is just put on music and turn it up. But even more, I'll start turning it up as they talk, and maybe that'll make them feel better. Well, I know it'll make me feel better, but I don't want to deal with it. And so he's yelling at me, and he's saying, Oh, I played football camp, cool. But now that he's tried to make a connection with me, what's the thing you do afterwards? Are you supposed to tip those people? They're coming out, and I'm sure like during the winter was a pain in the ass because they're over there freezing their dicks off and putting stuff in people's cars while they're sitting in their hot cars. I'm sure that sucked, but I don't know if you're supposed to tip them, and I haven't yet, to be honest. But every time I'm thinking, I always like take a couple bills or what, and not like I remember the first time it's like, do I get out and help them? and and what I did, so I was like, I think I'm supposed to get out and help because that's kind of a dick move. That's just sit in your car and let it happen. Now I've accepted it, just fill my trunk up and go on with your life. And but I remember the first time, I was like, well, I went in the trunk and I waited, and they just kind of stood awkwardly by the car because I didn't pop my trunk at the time. So finally, I was like, "Oh shit, they're here. They're waiting. They want to know what to do." They're like, "Where do you want it?" I popped my trunk, and then I didn't reply. I popped my trunk. So then I get out, and I have this thing where I get nervous about like getting out, my car locking while my keys are in it. So like I start to get out, but then I get back in, and I turn my car off and get back out, and so I've already made this awkward. It's already gone to another level. So the next thing I do is not help. I stand there awkwardly watching. I can't help but laugh because this is an absolutely true story. I just stood awkwardly closer to them at this point and watched them put the stuff in my trunk. And so I'm watching them take the stuff out of their little cart or whatever, put it in my car, and I just stand there like, yeah, you're doing a great job. Get it? No, yeah, get in there. And so now that I know that person was absolutely uncomfortable. Now that I think back on it, like I know I left feeling like I should never go back to this store again because I felt so uncomfortable with myself. I can't imagine what that person was feeling whenever they had this weird guy who couldn't figure out if they're getting in or out of their car just stand next to them as they did it. The only thing I did was grab the bag of eggs from them and put them in the front seat, which I almost sat on because I didn't want to put it in the back seat right there because the cart was there. And I didn't want to do the awkward thing where I'm sitting there, and I almost got back in the car after standing there. It was just such a weird thing. I definitely didn't tip that person because I was trying to leave that situation as quick as possible. That is the one of the worst, horrifying experiences I've ever had when it comes to grocery shopping. Other than the time that I definitely shit my pants. Well, it wasn't complete. It was one of those farts that it was questionable. I went whenever I was getting over a little stomach bug. That's a whole nother story. Anyway, so do you tip those people? Because I'm not doing it. And I don't know if I should. But whenever I get home after doing it, after getting the groceries, especially when it's from the ones where you have to pick it up yourself, one thing I've realized is you cannot do that if you want fresh produce. They will give you the worst produce they have, or they don't check it. They just grab the first thing and put it in your bag or your cart. So when it comes to all of your stuff, when it comes to the fresh produce, pro tip for all of you: go and get your produce yourself. Go get your lettuce yourself. Go get your avocados, your limes, your lemons. They've given me just bad produce that I thought to myself, in no normal world, no human with eyes that they look through would grab this bag of spinach that's obviously wilting, or this avocado that is basically mush whenever it's just being held in my hand. It's those little things where you can't trust those people to do that. And if you care about the food that you're making, the produce that you have, go get it yourself. And definitely go to the place that says organic on it, because it's obviously going to be much better if it's organic vegetables instead of just vegetables, allegedly. Grocery shopping is absolutely one of the worst things that I have to endure. It is too much money, too much time, and I go through it way too fast. And that's the other thing. Whenever you get it, by the time it's time to go again, you're pissed because you went through all the food already. Or there's a problem of I get all this stuff also while trying to cover up all my snacks and whatnot, where that's like, I'm definitely going to eat that. And then it just sits and goes bad in my fridge. So I know I'm getting too much stuff or getting stuff that I'm not eating, but I don't learn that lesson the next time I go get the same thing again. Like, oh, I didn't get to it this time. I'll definitely eat it next time. And it never happens. No, at no point is that giant thing of spinach the whole, like, I'll use it in place of like lettuce on my sandwiches. I like doing like crisp spinach instead, but I don't go through the entire thing. But if I do the online thing, I get too big of a bag. Or one time they sub it on their own, and it was like this giant plastic container of, well, they didn't, now that I think about it, it wasn't even spinach. They gave me a thing of spring mix. I'm still pissed about that. And so I think there's some kinks that they need to work out with this online stuff, and I haven't had it delivered to me, like I said earlier, which I think that'd be cool. And that's something I don't know. Do they put it up for you? Do they bring it in the house? Do they leave it outside your door? I really don't know. I've never done that. I've heard of what's it called? Instacart. And I know some other grocery stores deliver themselves, but I don't know what they do with it. That's one thing. If you do know, go to my Facebook page or my YouTube channel and leave a comment for me, because I'm genuinely curious. What do they put it up for you? Because that might be worth paying the extra money if they're putting your groceries up too. But I don't want them judging me. Like, do they go into your house at all? I don't think they should. If they do, I think that's a bunch of bullshit if they do that. Like, don't come in my house. Like, this is my area. Just drop it at my porch, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's a little weird. I don't know how I feel about that after all. But at the end of the day, grocery shopping is something we all have to do. We have to put up with. I know in other countries, some people go literally every day. They just go get what they need for dinner that day or the next 2 days instead of getting a week or 2 weeks. I'll never go to those big box stores because I could never go through that much food at one time whenever it's just me. And so maybe that's the better option. I've found recently Dollar General, of all places, is now carrying fresh produce and little things of actual food instead of all the little snacks and stuff they used to have. That's actually kind of exciting because it's also smaller portions. So if you're just living on your own, or if you're a college student, I'd look into that instead of some of those cheaper places. Dollar General is just as cheap. You can get everything you need there too. They've really stepped up their game when it comes to that. I used to be disgusted walking into a Dollar General. Now I'm not as disgusted, I guess I should say. But otherwise, make sure you go to the Facebook page, everybody. Like it. Follow us on Spotify. Give me a good rating on Apple Podcasts. Go to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to that. I am trying to add video to what I'm doing soon. And that's one of the reasons that this has been delayed, because I've been messing with that so much. And so finally I decided to put out another podcast because I got tired of waiting and trying to figure out how I'm going to do the video. If you do want more, let me know. I'm curious in ideas. I've already had people reach out to me about some ideas. I have some people that are also wanting to join this podcast and talk with me and kind of argue things. So I'm really, really excited to change a little bit the dynamic of this podcast, where you don't just have to hear me rambling on, but actually have a dynamic with other people. And also I want to give a shout out to a podcast known as The Monologues, which is a local podcast where they're talking gaming and beer, where they do a little smaller games, beer that you might not know, and they talk about it. It's a fantastic podcast. You can get the link off of my Facebook page, and you can also find them on Spotify. And they show nothing but love and support for other local people, and I definitely have to give a shout out to them. But if you all like what you're hearing, let me know. If you don't like what you're hearing, let me know. I want to get better at this. I want to improve, and I want to bring stuff that you all enjoy listening to. And those are the lemons.